You're wearing the same hat you were wearing last week.
I like this hat.
Have you taken it off in between now and our episode 2 weeks ago?
Man, I have so many hats. Well, that not last weekend, but the weekend before, someone gave me a hat, and then I bought a hat, which is this hat that I'm wearing now, and then I won a hat by finishing my race, and I came back three hats
They'll
richer.
give that to anybody now.
It's actually a band from the 90s, 3 Hats None the Richer. I don't know if you've heard of them.
I think I missed that one.
I also bought a yellow Williams racing hat because Ferrari wasn't coming out with a yellow Ferrari number 44 hat, and so I'm very, very rich in hats.
Very accessorized, I would say.
I mean, if you go back 2 years, I had maybe my one hat that I wore, and that one kind of got crusty.
Yeah, I was about to ask you, what is your criteria or reason for retiring hats? Do you lose them? Do they wear out? What's the problem?
I mean, I just got rid of most of my hats because I wasn't wearing hats.
Oh, okay.
And then I was like, I need to get a McLaren hat. And so then I had my McLaren hat. And then I was like, well, I need to get a Ferrari hat. And then I had the Ferrari hat. And then I got my running hat. And I had 3 hats. And I was like, I like all these hats. And then all of a sudden, I got like 3 more hats. Yeah. And now I have
doubled your number of hats.
Now I have 6 hats. It's a lot. Yeah. It's a lot, Daniel.
A lot of hats. I feel like you wear hats pretty often now. I guess mostly when you exercise.
Yeah. I started wearing hats when I run. You know, keep the sun out of my face. Keep my skin young. For the most part.
Are you wearing a hat now because the headphones bother you, or is that like your new like podcasting uniform?
I'm wearing the hat because I biked over here and I had a helmet on, and I had helmet hair.
Helmet hair. Can't have that. It's important to look your best for this audio only medium.
You bet.
Welcome back to the Camera Gear Podcast. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Lucas.
And we're here today to talk about the gear, software, and techniques we use to shoot photos and video.
There's been a lot happening in camera news recently, Daniel. I don't know if you know this.
I might have missed something. What kind of things have been happening?
Oh, like Laowa came out with a 200mm f2 also. Now there's all of a sudden a bunch of 200mm f2s.
Pretty suspicious.
And Sony came out with a new 100mm macro, and it's like supposedly a thing.
I think Panasonic came out with a lens recently, maybe like a 100 to 500.
Something like that. I think Olympus maybe came out with something. I don't know.
Yeah. DJI came out with that Osmo Nano, which is basically like the Insta360 Go 3.
Yeah, a lot of stuff, man. We're finally starting to get a slow leakage of reviews and thoughts on the Pixis 12K.
Yeah, that's exciting.
That's all real important stuff.
Yeah, I think that they're finally shipping to people.
A lot of stuff happening. But, this episode may be a little more chill.
Yeah. A little less gear talk.
A little less gear heavy.
Yeah.
Though this is a Camera Gear podcast.
Yeah. I mean, there's still definitely some gear happening.
Sometimes you got to take a break from reading specs.
Every now and then, yes.
Just reading them out loud. Do you realize we never talked about the OM5 Mark II?
I mean, totally flew under my radar.
It came out a while ago.
But wasn't it like the same as the existing one?
Every OM thing that's released. Yeah. Every time. But it was like, oh, it's the OM5 too. And it's like a decent little camera. And I was like, oh, I guess we have to talk about it.
I don't know about
and
that.
It turned out we didn't have to talk about it. And you know who wrote in? No one.
Yep. I kind of feel like OM systems just really kind of like dropped out of the public consciousness.
They're not. I wouldn't go so far as to say they're the dish network of camera carriers.
Do you think you could come up with some type of allegory for or comparison, whatever the term would be for OM system?
Like if I was going to take some sort of
like which F1 team is OM system?
Oh wow, that's
a good one.
This
right?
is very good, Daniel.
Yeah.
We're going to go ahead and dig into this one. You know what? Go ahead and scratch off all the other topics. I would say previously I would have said Kick Sauber, but they got bought by Audi. And Audi, well, actually, Daniel, what if this is the thing? It's either Alpine or Kick Sauber, because Sauber has been kind of like changed hands a few times.
Okay.
And they're just kind of bad.
I mean, those things fit.
And
those definitely fit OM
now
system.
Audi owns them, so maybe Audi is OM owning that, is buying in. But I feel like Audi shows a lot of promise. And so I don't necessarily
don't feel like OM Systems has a lot of problems.
I don't want to put that on Audi.
Okay.
That they're the OM Systems.
Uh-huh.
Alpine used to be Renault, I think. And they were maybe and they were like really good when they were Renault. And now they're just kind of not doing too great as Alpine.
Do we need to, do you feel like we need to do this for other camera brands right now?
Yes.
You think you feel prepared to talk about that?
Daniel, I have done no preparation and I am 100% ready for this. Let's see. I don't think the Venn diagram of people who watch F1 and listen to this podcast is necessarily big enough.
I don't know. There's some. But I've seen people have commented and said that they enjoy the F1 talk.
Okay, well, Daniel,
we'll try and make it quick.
This wasn't on the plan, but here we go.
Yep.
So we got Canon.
Mm-hmm. Interestingly, Canon was the first brand I thought of. I think that's kind of you kind of mentioned it first too. It's interesting. So I don't think that's because it's alphabetical.
I'm gonna come back to Canon. Nikon, while originally one of the big names, right? Huge big brand, like it was Canon or Nikon, and it was always that thing.
Yeah, and then Nikon kind of feel like they fell by the wayside for a while, and now they're coming back.
Yeah, but then you have like the really dedicated fan base.
Yeah,
those big Nikon people are just waiting. They're just like rooting for Nikon.
Mm-hmm.
That's Ferrari.
Okay.
Yeah, they're gonna maybe this is their year. No,
you don't think it's their year?
I'm just saying that's Ferrari. They're always on that hopium.
Okay.
Always next year will be WDC. No, can't get together. I feel like that's not necessarily fair to Nikon.
I don't think so either.
Because I think Nikon's like really figuring it out.
Nikon has really had a kind of a, it feels like they went really downhill for a while and now they're kind of coming back.
I'm going to say that Fujifilm is... Oh boy, this is tough. This is really tough. I want to say that they're like the McLaren because like they were really big whenever they were made film. Like it was Fujifilm and Kodak, right? And then they just kind of had that dark era from like 1996 to 2024. And now Fuji's back. Yeah. But
they can't make enough cameras.
But I don't think Fuji has the staying power. They don't have like necessarily the pro line beyond the GFX, and a lot of it is, fortunately to say, a little fad-ish.
Yeah, it kind of is.
And I think that, unfortunately, McLaren, I think, is a bit of a flash in the pan right now. I am so sorry, Lando. I don't mean it. I love you. Also love Fuji.
That was aggressive.
Yikes. Okay. I'm going to go with Canon as Sony. Sony.
Canon is Sony.
Sorry, I got it backwards.
That's
Sony is Red Bull. Yeah. Sony's definitely Red Bull.
That fits. That for sure fits.
Red Bull coming on the scene in 2008. Won a lot of championships with, I don't know if Ricardo actually ever won a championship. Won a lot with Ricardo. I think, was it Vettel that was also in Red Bull? I'm not as familiar with F1 history, but obviously there's the Max Verstappen era, which is, the 2021 to 2024, maybe even 2025. And that is definitely Sony right now.
Yeah, kind of like a newer player to the market, but has definitely
dominated. Yep. So, so I guess that would make Mercedes would be Canon.
Well, there we go.
Frequently dominating the field, engine manufacturer. They make the car and the engine, and then they sell their engine to a lot of people. So like you could draw parallels there with Sony too.
Yeah.
But Canon's been around longer.
And Canon does make their own sensors.
They make their own sensors. They make their own thing. Yeah. I think Mercedes would be a pretty good parallel too, because they're kind of like the evil, well, not evil empire, but like Empire from Star Wars. They're like that. They're like the Galactic Empire.
Okay, yeah, I think that fits with Canon for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Is that all of them? I didn't get Panasonic.
Yeah.
Oh boy. This is tough, Daniel.
Yeah, you're running out of low-hanging fruit in terms of these teams.
I know, right? Well, I mean, Cadillac is not new. Is not even in F1 yet. That's next year, so we can't give them Cadillac. I don't necessarily want to say Aston Martin. Aston Martin's been good. Aston Martin shows a lot of promise because they built that new wind tunnel, and Adrian Newey is now on their team, and there's like a lot of promise coming up.
You think maybe that'd be Black Magic?
You know what? Sure, that could be Black Magic. You could also argue that that's Nikon. Who did I make Nikon? McLaren?
I think. Yeah. No, because you said
No,
you said
McLaren.
Fuji was McLaren.
Yeah, I made Ferrari, Nikon.
That's right. Yep.
You know what? I'm going to make Ferrari Lumix for all the same reasons.
Okay.
Hopium.
Hopium.
And I'm going to make Nikon Aston Martin.
Can see it.
Yep.
I do feel like with Panasonic there has been a lot of hopium with like S1H Mark II type stuff.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep, it's coming. This is our year kind of thing.
Yep. Interesting.
Done. I didn't get all of them.
Yeah, but
that's fine.
You got a pretty good selection there. Pretty good.
Nailed it.
Yep. Good job for doing that with absolutely no preparation.
I'm always ready for these hard-hitting questions, Daniel.
Yep. Got to bring your A game to the podcast.
Yep.
All right, so our actual topics for today,
Sure.
Which, like you said, are not talking about new cameras, which is nice.
Yeah.
So this is one that I had kind of started thinking about, and basically the question is, how much of photography is talent versus practice? And the reason that this came to mind for me is, we're in a situation where we go and shoot photos at events at our church, and they have like a stream of volunteers that come in, and we kind of have this thing now where we need to get those people and like train them on, how to take photos. And I just kind of started thinking about it, in terms of, okay, well, how do you train somebody to do this? And it made me wonder, how much of it is like talent or, having like the eye versus practice. Like, can you tell like pretty quickly if somebody's going to be a good photographer, or do they just need to learn like how to use a camera and then the rest of that stuff will come? So I don't know. I thought it was kind of a good like philosophical question on photography.
This reminds me of a book that I've never read.
How does it remind you of that then?
Well, because they were talking about photography. Have you ever read The Decisive Moment?
I haven't, but you've told me about it. It sounds so pretentious.
Wow, Daniel. Wow. This is the quintessential photography book. It teaches you how to be a photographer.
Well, when you put it like that, I mean, maybe I need to check this book out.
Maybe you do. It's very difficult to get a hold of because it's enormous. And two, it's like in and out of production, and it can be expensive. Though I just found it on Amazon for $41. What?
Doesn't sound like that was hard.
What a deal.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's more than that. Anyways, so is photography talent, or can you learn photography?
Yeah.
I mean, I think you can learn it. I think also similar to everything else, becomes easier to some people than other people. And you kind of have to have an eye for it. And similar to a lot of artistic medium, you can learn all the rules and follow the rules and take an objectively good photo. But if you don't have that creative drive behind it, you might struggle to find the thing to take the photo of, or you may just be shooting formulaic pictures.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like why I was thinking about it, because it feels like you could teach someone everything about how to use a camera, and they could know how to use like the histogram and, an exposure triangle and all that, and they could know how to like take the perfect picture. You could even know like the rule of thirds and stuff, which like kind of starts getting into, some of like the somewhat creative side.
Leading lines, framings, golden rule, all that stuff.
But how much of that do you have to learn,
ratio.
and can you just kind of learn it, or do you have to have kind of like that creative eye, and and then if so, like how do you build that up?
I mean, it's just practice. Like it's like anything. You just have to do it. It's repetition. It's looking at good photos, finding things that you like, understanding why you like it, and then building off of that. And so, I mean, collecting photo books, finding people that, whenever Instagram used to be a photography website, or like go to one of those curated websites where they're like 500 pixels or something, and find photographers that you like and look at their work and follow their work, and that kind of you're like training an AI model, right? Except for
that it's you.
Except it's you. And I think that's kind of a builds out that that eye for what you like out of a photo, even if you can't describe it. You're like, I like this and I like this and I like this, and eventually it becomes like a pattern recognition thing, and you can kind of find the image.
Do you feel like that's something that you've done?
No, of course not. I'm not that. I'm a terrible.
So do you think you're just not a good photographer?
Yeah, I don't think I'm a good photographer. I like taking pictures, but I try not to sell myself as a photographer because I feel like it's like calling myself like a doctor or something. Like if I had a PhD and I was like, it's Dr. Lucas.
Yeah.
And someone's like,
I always feel a little weird about that. Yeah.
Like, you have a PhD in general studies.
Fair.
Anyway, I'll stop there. I was going to make more jokes. But like to go back to the book, right? The decisive moment thing. I've never read the book. I think that the concept, from what I understand, though, is and this even applies to all kinds of photography, film photography, or whatever. You have to know what you want a picture of. And so, like, if I'm taking like candid shots, I can scope out the room and understand like where people are going to be and know, okay, within this space, these are the spots where I can get good framing and these are the spots where I can get good depth of field. And then, so like, here's the photo that I want. And then you just wait for it. You frame it up, you get ready, and like, you wait for that moment to happen, and then you decide when you're gonna press the shutter and when you're gonna take that picture. And I think a lot of people kind of chase after the picture, like they're like, oh, that person's doing a thing. Like they go to get the picture, and then the moment's passed.
Yeah,
you kind of have to understand what you wanted to get a picture of, and then be in position, waiting for it to happen, so you can capture it. And I think that skill set can drastically improve someone's photography, and it's not necessarily an easy thing to learn because you have to know ahead of time what framing you're going for, what kind of shot you're going for, and this sort of thing before you're even in the position to take it.
I think a lot of people would think that advice is less applicable with digital photography because obviously with film, the photos are expensive, so you don't want to shoot them unnecessarily. And I think with digital, it'd be easy to say, well, you can just kind of take as many as you want and then pick out the good ones later.
That's exhausting.
Well, it is exhausting, but I feel like
especially when you're not the one that has to pick them out.
That's one thought I have in my mind. And the other thought is, I think you're exactly right that a lot of people miss the moment. They're too late. But I also think sometimes people are too early and they get into a situation and they see stuff that seems interesting and they just start snapping pictures. And it's just like, sometimes you see it and you realize if they had just waited another moment for those people to like fully hug or, like for that person to be like writing something on that sheet of paper instead of just holding the pencil or whatever, those are like simple examples, but this photo would have been so much better. And I feel like both of those things, like being too late, being too early, not taking too many pictures, all of that kind of comes down to the idea of like knowing what photo you want to take and that actually kind of like connects you to that creative process in some way where you're actually like thinking about what would make a good picture. And it seems like it is easy for people to kind of disconnect that in their minds and I'm using a camera right now and I'm like capturing photos versus like I'm trying to capture like this specific photo. And
yeah, you have to really get good at anticipating what's going to happen in cases of like reading people, understanding body language and what they're doing and being able to predict like what are they going to do next. Or even, I mean, if you're shooting sports or wildlife, right? It's where is that bird going to be?
Yeah.
Like is that animal posturing to move, to make a jump? Do I want to get that action shot? I mean, when you're shooting action, you're never going to get it if you're like chasing after it, right?
Yeah.
You have to be where it's going to be, be where the ball is going to go, and then not skate to where the puck's going, kind of situation, in order to then like be able to capture when it happens.
Yep.
And if you just have to know what you're photographing.
Yeah,
and
that comes into so many things because you need the creative side of kind of visualizing in your mind what you want, but you also need to know how to use your camera enough to where you're not fiddling with settings, instead of paying attention. And you kind of need to know if you're filming an event, if you're on a safari, whatever you're doing, you need to kind of know how that thing is going to go so that you can like put yourself in the right position to get what you want.
Do you think that knowing how to use your camera is a lesser skill than knowing what makes it, like, framing wise and content wise, what makes a good photo?
Well, I kind of think I don't think it's a lesser skill. I think the importance of it partially depends on what type of photography you do. I think if you do event photography, you have to know your camera inside out, because you're not going to have a lot of time to, change settings and stuff. Whereas if you're shooting a landscape, if you don't know like where something is in your camera, like you can probably take the time to figure it out. But it definitely does matter, because I don't know about you, like when I've looked through photos that, people who are like, less experienced with photography have taken, sometimes there's a photo that's really good and they just totally miss focus.
Mm-hmm.
And it always bums me out, because I think like you were right there, like you had the right shot, but there was something that you didn't know about the camera, or you just didn't notice it, or whatever. And because of that, this thing that could have been like a keeper, a really good photo, is just like, I have to reject it because it's out of focus.
I would say that in all the discussions with photographers, which, oh boy, Daniel, like 3 weeks, I'm going to have some stories to tell.
Yes, you are. I forgot about this. Do you want to elaborate on that, or you just want to say 3 weeks from now ish? There's going to be some good. Good.
Let me make my point first.
Okay.
I in all the different, like, anytime I see someone with a camera, I want to talk to them about photography or taking pictures or video or whatever. I mostly just want to talk about their gear, because I mean
his podcast.
It's just the whole thing, right? It's like I like technology. That's why I'm into cameras. Who cares about photos? Me? No. I think that, and maybe this is my problem, and I'm just not a very good photographer. I'm like, okay, Daniel, you just stop it. I'm like, okay.
Do you want me to stop insulting your photography?
Yeah. So why don't you just calm down?
I'll try and lay off that a little bit.
But it is more often the case that when I'm talking to another photographer, I know more about their camera than they do.
That doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah.
And they take better pictures than I do.
So what do you think about that? What do you think the deal is?
Like, I'm like, there's people who take better pictures of me and know their camera better than I know their camera. Mm-hmm. And there's people who maybe know their camera better than I know the camera, take worse pictures. And then the third would be, they know their camera worse than I know their camera, but they take better pictures. Mm. And that third category outweighs the other categories more.
But I think when you say they your camera better than that, their camera better than they do, it really depends on what you mean, because I think it's entirely possible that people that take really good photos know how to like focus, and they know how to use specific things about the camera that they need to do that. But sure, maybe they don't know, how many stops of dynamic range is this sensor, how many focus pixels does this camera have? What, like how does the high res mode work? Like those are the types of things.
How to optimize the autofocus settings, how to do like focus stacking, how to shoot in HDR.
But those are all things that like maybe you don't need to take a good photo.
No, not necessarily.
You need to know how to focus the camera.
I mean, there's people that I'm like, aperture priority, and they're like, what's that?
Yes.
Which that's anyways. But in a handful of weeks, I'm going to be going back to Caddo Lake.
Mm-hmm. But almost on the 1 year anniversary.
So but I'm going. But no, we've already passed it. Didn't we go in the spring?
No, we went in the fall, I think.
Did we? I don't remember. Whatever. I could go back and check, but I'm not going to. It doesn't matter. Anyways, I'm going with my dad's photography club.
Yes, you are.
And they are all my dad's age, which is substantially older than I am.
Do you think they all shoot on Nikon?
There are Fuji shooters there.
Oh, man.
Mm-hmm. I am so excited. We're going to have a really good time.
Yes, you are. And then we're going to have a really good podcast after that.
I'm going to be on a boat for like 6 hours with just so many photographers. Yes. Oh, boy.
So many boomer photographers.
I'm so excited. I'm pumped. Yeah. It's going to be transformational for me.
Yep. Honestly,
and I can't tell if I'm being ironic.
You're probably going to learn something from them, because there probably are people in that group that are going to fit that category you're saying, where they don't know their camera nearly as well as you do, but they take better pictures than you.
Oh yeah, every single one of them. Almost certainly every single one of them. And maybe they'll learn something from me.
Do you think they've all read The Decisive Moment?
No.
It's just ingrained on their heart. They just know it.
Yeah, you just, you embody that
Yep.
as a photographer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, so my point is, like, I think that knowing your camera can make you better at photography because you know your tool and you can make it do what you need to do, and you can really stretch the capabilities of it.
Sure.
Where like someone who doesn't necessarily know the camera very well would, like, oh, I don't want to set the ISO in that range, or I don't know how to get this certain shot. And you're like, well, I can, or I can get a better image out of this because I know the limits of the IBIS, and I know when to use a tripod, and I know how to, like, blah, 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 because it's my camera and I've shot 10,000 photos with it.
I know when I shoot events in particular, I can tell a difference if I'm, like, for example, right now, if I shoot with a Fuji versus shooting with the Lumix.
The Fuji's always better, yeah.
I've learned the Lumix a lot better, but, like, I still haven't shot enough with it that everything is just like second nature for me, like it was on the Fuji. And when you get good enough at it, you kind of forget that it's there, in the sense that, like, oh, I need to change the ISO. Like, I have the muscle memory to just do that and I don't have to think about it. And then that's mental capacity that I can use to, like, look for the shot I want to get.
That was a really satisfying thing for me whenever we went to Europe last year. I had bought the XH2S, and I was like, I can use the X-T3 as my photo camera. The XH2S is my video camera. But, like, the XH2S is a really good camera, and so I was just trending towards using that all the time. And I wasn't really using my X-T3 for much. And I opted to take the X-T3 to Europe. And for the XH2S, I had started using, like, continuous autofocus, and had been because, like, the tracking was just so much better than the other camera. Whereas on the X-T3, I pretty much set it to single point autofocus, non-continuous, and I would just do, like, focus reframe and get the photos. And going back to the X-T3 for that trip, I just went back to doing that, of, like, focus reframe.
You just, like, drop back into that groove.
Yeah, and, like, I know, like, how, like, man, just changing the settings and knowing where they are and, like, how to use it. Oh boy, it was like it was like I didn't have to think at all about how to use the camera, and like sliding back into that groove of equipment and gear that I'm super familiar with was one, really enjoyable, and I got the how to take the photo just completely out of the way. And I was able to kind of just enjoy the trip and capture candids where I could.
I feel like the Fuji XT series is definitely the extreme of that, where you've got all those physical controls, and you just get to where you have the mental model of the camera, to where you can say, like, I want my exposure to be about the same, but I want the aperture to be a little bit narrower. And so, like, you could just, like, click your aperture and your ISO at the same time, like, you know, and like, you just kind of know where all that stuff is, and you're not having to search for it. And, like, and it's a great feeling.
Yeah, I think it takes you down a road of, like, a different type of photography necessarily. And there's reasons why people will tend to lean, like, why PSAM has become so dominant as a means of control and that sort of thing. But I think that, this is why people like Leica cameras. They're simple to control, and they get out of your way when it comes to like taking the photo.
Yeah. And again, I think it matters more for certain types of things than others. The candid shot stuff, event photography, definitely. You know, maybe less so if you take pictures of architecture or landscapes or something. Then, you know, you have a little more time to fiddle with your camera. But.
All right. So how do you know what a good photo is? You specifically.
That's a good question. I mean, I think it does come back to what you said about having seen, you know, I've seen a lot of good photos in my day, kind of thing.
Have you?
But that's hard. I mean, because we know there are certain rules, you know, like you can understand, like, leading lines, rule of thirds, stuff like that. And it's funny, like, you know, we're talking about photography, but you and I both end up in the situation a lot where we're having to explain some of these things to people, because when we direct broadcast, we have, you know, camera operators that, you know, are new to it. And, like, the amount of times I've explained headspace to people, you know,
oh my gosh.
And that's the kind of thing where, to me now, it's just intuitive, because I've done this so much that I can just look at something instantly and say, there's too much headspace there. There's not enough headspace. And other people just don't have that sense because they haven't done
It's because they don't have a spouse that took radio, television, film courses and took one film class in college where she learned about headspace and then forever has been drilling into your brain.
You've been hearing about that for the last 10 years.
Oh my, like, there's too much headspace. Oh my gosh. There's not too much headspace. There's too much headspace. You know what? You don't know everything. You don't know everything about headspace. She doesn't know everything about headspace. It's fine. And so, yeah, you just learn it.
Yeah,
learn it because people just keep drilling it into you.
Just figure it out. But, you know, also with like things like cutting people off on the edge of frame and stuff, you just pick some of those things up from seeing photos and, you know, and understanding photos. But, there's a lot more to it than that, though. Like, those are really basic examples, and I think it gets much harder after that to quantify it.
Yeah, I think what I would always come back to here is what makes a good photographer is, I would say, like a love of photography. I just straight up don't have that. I like having photos. I just want to has them, because I like the memories, and I like seeing pictures of my friends and my family, and I love photography for that. I want those images to be able to go back to. But I don't necessarily have like a love of photography for like, wow, look at this image and like how it makes you feel and like what it communicates and all this sort of thing, where I am then pulled or desired to like study and see other people's work, and like in that way where I just want to like really just go and appreciate it because it's great photography.
Yeah.
I feel that way.
You're kind of selling yourself short a little bit, because if you feel that way, why are you not shooting everything on your phone? Well, like, if it's all about just capturing the memory.
See earlier where I'm a big whore about tech, but I feel that way about videography. I love movies. I love seeing and capturing like motion pictures and how like, oh, look how they did this, or look how they shot this. Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
And like seeing how people can do things in different ways, and like what film it was captured on, and like all this sort of stuff related to just like motion pictures and movies and moments. And like, I love all of that.
It's so interesting that you feel differently about those two things.
And yeah, I mean, it is interesting that it's interesting. But for me, like, that's why I love videography and like shooting video and like making videos and like even things that no one's ever going to see. Right. I love all of that because I just do. I don't know. It's like, I like moving pictures, but photography, I don't know. I'm never like browsing, pro collections online and being like, oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll appreciate a good photo that's like, oh man, this is 1,000 megapixels and I can zoom in on the hairs and like, look at that detail. That's cool.
I feel like I don't go and seek out stuff like that. Like when you say like go study a bunch of photographers' work, like that's not something that really appeals to me, honestly. But at the same time, I can appreciate a good photo artistically when I see it. And sometimes I'll see, somebody will show me a picture, or I'll come across it and I'm impressed, and like I can appreciate that, but I don't feel like I spend time analyzing it and thinking, why is this a good picture? How can I make my pictures more like that? So I'm kind of in the same boat as you, I guess, where it's like, it's funny because it's like this thing that I do a lot. I don't actually spend a lot. Like I don't spend focused time trying to get better at the creative side of it.
I mean, when I watch movies, I like to know like what was it shot on and who was the DP. And I like to think about like, where did they make that cut and why, and how do they frame that? And is this conversation from the inside, or are they just doing standard coverage? And like, what does that look like? And what,
and especially with video, analyzing stuff in that way, is really like part of how you learn how to make similar stuff.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's the same for photography.
It
you
is.
and I just don't do it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, not really for photography. No.
Because you could look at a photo and learn so much about it in terms of what was the lighting for this photo, like what why did they use the focal length they did, like what were their choices, like you could learn a lot from that, and you and I just happen to not do that.
This reminds me of something that I don't know if I brought up on the show. Did I bring it up on the show? I was talking to a photographer, as I often
as
do.
You do.
I was at some networking event thing, and there was a guy that was shooting photos, and like the people I was with were like, "Let's go," and I was like, "Hey, tell me about that." And they're like, "Come on, Lucas." I'm like, "Hold on, I'm talking to this guy." But he had one of those Peak Design. I don't think Peak Design makes these anymore. But Peak Design used to make the thing that was a lens mount and you just put it on a strap. And so you could like clip your Peak Design strap to it. And there was an EF mount on both sides. And you could basically just like clip your lens into it. And then you could have a lens that's hanging off your shoulder or whatever that's just clipped into a lens mount. And when you want to switch, you clip one lens into the other side and then unclip the one that you were clipped onto.
Right.
So you're never carrying two lenses on it, but you can use it as an intermediary to like take one off and put one on.
That way you don't need like a table or something to help you change lenses.
Yeah, and I've always wanted one of those, but they only ever made it for like EF and maybe like F mount or E mount. I don't even know if they made it for E mount because they just made it for like one series of cameras, and then new mirrorless stuff came out and like whatever.
Yeah.
And the photographer I was talking to said that he was shooting on a Canon, it was like an R whatever 651 something whatever, but he was using on an R mount Canon camera, and he was still shooting EF glass because he can mount it on this stupid thing and it's easier and faster. And he's like, why would I upgrade? Because then I won't be able to use this thing. And that's why I'm still on EF.
It's interesting that something that sounds so inconsequential can become like a core part of someone's workflow. I feel like there are probably other examples of that out there somewhere.
I just thought it was wild. And he was like, oh yeah, you know how it is. You know, we take 1 million pictures a year, and like, sure, the lens gets banged up, but I just send it to Canon and there we go.
And you're like, yeah, I know how that is. That's me too. Yeah.
Me too. I also take my pictures here. We're friends now.
Most of them are my dogs. What did you think of my idea for how you could use that?
Oh, how I could just like buy a couple dumb adapters off Amazon and then just adapt them from me. Yeah. Sure. Also seems like a bad idea.
Maybe.
I don't pay for pro support.
Yeah,
like
it kind of freaks me out a little bit, just having a lens sort of hanging there.
That doesn't necessarily freak me out.
I like the chalk bag idea.
I do have the talk bag works out pretty good. That was a fun interaction.
Yeah.
All right, Daniel, let's do we want to move on to your next topic here?
I guess so. We'll be back in just a moment, but we wanted to let you know that if you'd like to support the show, you can now subscribe to us on Patreon. It helps cover our hosting costs so we can keep the show running, and you might find an occasional behind-the-scenes post on there, like some photos we've taken recently or a mini review of some new gear. If you're interested, you can find us at patreon.com/cameragearpodcast. All right. So YouTube. I have had a YouTube channel in the past where I released videos pretty regularly.
Yep.
You also have a YouTube channel. You have made videos.
Yeah, but not regularly, and they're all terrible. And I'm going to remove all of them before this goes live, so no one's tempted to go find them.
I don't think you should do that. But you, I would say generally your videos had more production put into them than mine did, but you never did it regularly. Like it wasn't a pattern for you.
Yeah. I made like 4.
Yep. So I'm curious though. You know, we talk so much about gear on this channel, on this podcast, and I feel like if you and I had unlimited time, we would probably both really enjoy doing YouTube. Like, because we like making videos. You know, if it wasn't, the only reason we don't is because it's too many other draws on time.
Man, like, I feel like everyone wants to be a YouTuber, or that's kind of like the meme, right? It's like, oh, I'm just gonna be a YouTuber. You ask the kids, well, what do you want to do when you grow up? I want to be a YouTuber, and
Twitch streamer, whatever. Yeah,
like you watch a YouTuber life cycle, and like they're like putting out videos and like they make all the things, and then they always release the one that's like, oh guys, I gotta take a break, I'm just so burned out, or whatever. And then like they just don't post for a really long time, but then they start posting like once a month, and then you kind of forget about them, and then maybe they come back.
This happens so frequently. You see it all the time.
And like you were making videos, and like had probably the best, I don't know, FPV drone channel in a very small community. Like you were making
very small community.
It's extremely small, but it was pretty good, making good traction, that sort of thing. But you were like, it's not like you're making that many videos, and it's not like you were making any real money off of it,
Mm-hmm.
but you were so stressed out.
It took so much time.
It was just like, I could see how draining it was for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'm never going to be a YouTuber.
Yeah.
I will make you like, so I like making things. And if I ever get around to making that short film that I keep talking about for the last 3 years and just have never finished writing because time, yeah, I'll post it on YouTube, whatever.
Yeah.
Because you're like, what else are you going to do with it? Just post it on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, like, I thought I wanted to like do like bag reviews on YouTube or just like make stuff that made me happy and like post it. I haven't posted in like 2 years.
Yep.
And I'm probably not going to post next year.
Yep.
Because like you have to be super, super consistent if you want to grow it as a job.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's formulated in a way that destroys people unless you're really good at like managing your time and understanding like good work-life balance and not like letting it suck you in.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones who are successful are like, I have a team and we shoot these videos and this is the process and this is how we do it and this is work and this is home, and like they know how to build a studio that can do it.
Yeah.
But man, it just chews people up.
Yeah, it does, because especially if you want to have good production value, you always end up in a state where you have like a pipeline of videos. Like unless you post very infrequently, you're not getting one video done and then starting to think about the next one. It's like I've got, like when I did this, it was like I would have one video that I was about to post. I'd have one that I was editing. I'd have one that I was like filming or testing for, one that I was like planning. And, it's like, well, I need to wait for like this product to come in so I can test it or whatever. And yeah, it's just like you have so much stuff in your head and you can't take a break, and it just never ends. And yeah, it was a lot. I'm glad I don't do it anymore, but it did kind of make me think, back when I was doing that, I mean, I knew quite a bit about cameras, although I'll say doing that channel is actually what I feel like what taught me a lot about videography and video editing, because like I was doing it so much that I was getting a lot of practice like at doing those things, and started slowly like learning ways to be more efficient. And some of that stuff still pays off for me today and the stuff we do.
Definitely.
But I feel like I've learned so much more since then. Like as one example, when I did this, I didn't shoot any videos in log. And the only reason I didn't is because like I didn't really like I kind of understood why it was better, but I didn't understand enough why it was better, and didn't want to have to learn like how to apply the LUT, and like I felt like I was going to do all this color grading.
Yep.
And now it's like no question, like duh, I'm going to shoot it in log. Like why wouldn't I? But that's just kind of one example of like things I didn't know. And I feel like since you and I have been doing videos, we've learned all this stuff about like setup and like setting up for a shoot that I didn't know back then. And so I feel like I've learned a lot.
Yeah, you learn by doing. Even if you think you know everything, you learn. You always learn something.
But yeah, like I kind of thought with all this in mind, with like us knowing how much work all that can be, but also us loving camera gear, like as a fun thought exercise, if you were to make a YouTube channel, like if you have a topic in mind, that's great. Like how would you do it? Logistically, gear, like just curious, like what your plan of attack would be.
Oh boy. So for me, like I think there's two ways you can tackle this, and obviously it all kind of depends upon your content, but so much of YouTube is just talking head, right? It's someone talking at a camera. Like that's just like quintessential YouTube. It doesn't necessarily have to be that. Like you could point the camera at something. I think that's what makes a lot of Mr. Beast's videos entertaining.
Sure.
Is like they're pointing it at something and it's kind of moved away from pointing it at him. But I don't know. It's like if I was making a YouTube channel, I would want to make things that weren't talking head stuff now. Like that's where I would trend towards, like make some creative works and use it as a platform to like distribute my own creative work. But if I was making a traditional YouTube channel, which to me is someone talking to the camera, you can either make a studio setup, like here is the scene, and then always shoot there, or you can like get out into the world and shoot in the world.
Yeah, and which is unless you have a big team, that's going to radically change your your choices because you're gonna have to be mobile and like you can't be setting up a bunch of stuff.
And that was the thing for me is like, in making a video, I never wanted to shoot it in the same place.
Yeah.
I wanted to do a setup somewhere and I could shoot all the A-roll in one shot, but I was like, I want to do the setup here this time, now here this time. And I wanted to explore doing different things.
Yeah.
Like this grand ambition of doing a review for a Peak Design travel backpack. Oh boy, I had so many ideas, Daniel.
You did.
I was gonna one where like I set up a table, just like a folding table in a field, and I was gonna do some A-roll there. It's gonna be great. Yeah, it's gonna be so good.
Yep.
Anyways,
and like you have that, like that's what draws you in terms of like what you want to create, and I think that the tension there is that you have to be creative like that with every video you make.
Yeah.
Whereas when I was making the drone channel where I was like regularly producing videos, I definitely had, this is my A-roll shot. It's going to be the same every time. And it was purely a practicality thing of if I change it up every time, I have to figure out the lighting every time. I have to like make sure the framing's good. Whereas like if it's the same shot, you can just execute on that every time.
So I think it comes down to the content, but I would, if it was me and I was making a channel, I would not set up a studio. I would set up a new setup every time and it would suck and it would take up so mumuch time and I would be looking for ways to like optimize what that looks like. And so that would be maybe something we could dig into.
Yeah.
But I think that if it was a matter of like, you just got to get the content out and you're going to crank, set up one scene and set up a studio or maybe like set it up in two ways and you can rotate the camera or something.
Right.
So I guess like from the easy perspective, if you were doing like the single setup, it's like find a spot where you have depth. That's the key. Is like a visual interest, have some distance between the back wall, like whatever's behind you and you. Even if you're shooting in a small room, shoot diagonally, get as much depth as possible.
Yep.
And then like you kind of shoot. Typically, you'd shoot on a wider lens. Maybe don't go crazy with the depth of field. But I mean, if I was like starting from scratch and setting up a YouTube channel, I would still want to find something that was like somewhere between Micro Four Thirds and full frame. I would prefer to have a mirrorless camera for that, or even like one of those Canon like vlog cameras, the PowerShot V1 or something.
Interesting, yeah.
You could do it with a phone, but if I was setting up from scratch, I would go find like a freaking GH5 or something stupid.
Do you feel like like how much do you think the quality of the camera matters?
None. I might matter zero.
Yeah.
I think if the content's interesting, people will watch it, and the quality of the camera is minor.
That was kind of the other trap I fell into when I did it, was that I because I was interested in in videography, and honestly I kind of like intentionally used it as a conduit to learn more. I kind of had this idea that like what was going to set my channel apart was that it would be the best looking footage, and I absolutely succeeded at that. Like I got so many comments from people that said like, I have never seen FPV drone content that looks this good, and like I'm proud of that. But in terms of like, that was great for me to learn. So like, honestly, it pays off more for me now, that I did it that way. But in terms of being a YouTuber, that was the wrong way to do it, because I spent so much time, like I spent money on gear, and I spent so much time making stuff look good that it slowed me down doing the production. And I do think that can happen with cameras too, where, I can't start this unless I have like this, Lumix S1 Mark II, I need this $3,300 camera to start this. And sure, like that's going to be a great camera that'll be fun to use. But if your goal is to be a YouTuber, your phone is honestly probably a better choice than that.
Yeah, but that's like if you're starting a YouTube channel and you're giving advice to somebody. Yeah. Like if I was just starting a YouTube channel from nothing and I knew I wanted to build it out for the gear, I would pick something like I would probably pick a Sony camera, because everyone on YouTube shoots Sony, and so you're probably the algorithm probably favors Sony color science or something, some scam.
Oh man, I like that conspiracy theory.
Yeah. Anyway, the checks the metadata. You make sure that you don't strip that whenever you export, or fake it and change the camera to a Sony, like an A7 IV or something. That way your videos trend better.
Yes.
Pro tip. Hack this, anyways. Whatever. I'd pick like a ZV-E1 or something, or like a ZV-1. Yeah. E1. Which one's the sub $1,000? Not
the ZV-1.
Yeah. Well, no, the one with the E mount though. Oh. Like the ZV-E10. That's what I'm thinking of. The ZV-E1 is the $2,000 one. Yeah. I would pick something like a ZV-E10 and get a 16 millimeter APS-C lens, or like a 10 to 20, like the 11 to 20 zoom from Sigma.
Sure.
And that would be like the A roll. And maybe there's a second one of those. It's like if I need a secondary shot or an overhead shot for cutting, and obviously like set them up on a tripod. I wouldn't worry about like time code sync or anything like that. I would probably do lav mic. I prefer overhead and shotgun, and so like the Audio Technica microphones that we have, that was like whatever, like $150 or something.
Oh my gosh, that was such a good deal.
They're really good microphones. Yeah. I think that like, when it comes to shotgun mics, there's like the $1,000 tier. And then there's the $100 tier, and like the middle ground is a really hazy. Yeah. And what is it like? It's like the Audio Technica 450R or something like that. Do you remember what we have?
Man, I feel like it has like 7, 8 in the number, but yeah, it's an Audio Technica shotgun mic that it's about $150.
Yeah, I listened to so many sample footage and watched so many YouTube videos, and basically where it landed was like, if you're trying to spend, not like get into the $1,000 shotgun situation, but you want to get the best quality, it's like that was like kind of like the perfect middle spot before you made the huge jump into like a $600 to $1,000 mic.
I used that for all of my videos. We use it now for all of the videos we do. They're very good.
It sounds great. Yeah. Like there's better microphones.
But to be clear, you talking about that is if you're doing a studio setup. If you were doing the mobile thing, you'd for sure be using like a Rode wireless
lab.
Yeah,
for sure. I'd be using a wireless lab if I was doing mobile. And like there's a lot of advantage to using the wireless lab. And then just people are used to seeing those stuck on you. Like I wouldn't even get a lab for it. I would just use the stupid pod.
Yeah. Everybody's used to, like the first time somebody did that, it was kind of weird, and then now everybody's used to it.
Yeah, everyone's used to it. Like totally works. I wouldn't have any problem with that. But if I was doing a studio setup, I would just do a shotgun and a zoom. It's still like $350 in to do a shotgun and a zoom, but I think that the audio quality you get out of a shotgun is substantially better than what you're going to get off of a lav mic.
Yeah, and the rule always is like, lighting is more important than your camera, and audio is more important than your lighting. Like if you're going to focus on one thing, focus on having good audio.
Yeah, for sure. So it's the Audio Technica AT875R.
Okay.
And right now it's $189.
Okay. Also on the audio thing, something that has changed a lot since I was doing this, that we've been able to take advantage of doing videos, is software like Resolve now has really good voice isolation.
Yeah.
And I mean, we still use that on every video we make, to cut out some of the reverb and stuff. And makes a huge difference.
The audio tools within things like Resolve, like what's the one plugin that we use?
Isotope RX.
Yeah, Isotope RX, and then all of like the built-in tools in Resolve are like so stinking good now that even if you have a crappy mic, you can make it sound good. It's wild.
Yeah.
So if I was doing like a studio setup, that's where I would land. I would probably do 2 cameras. I love my light. I don't know if I would buy that same light for that. I would probably cheap out on the light. I would buy some Amaran, whatever, like a reasonable Amaran that can shoot. I mean, if you're just indoors and it's a small room, you don't need a ton of wattage.
A 60 watt would be
60
plenty.
watt is perfect. So I would find like some, or even like the what is it? Not Xiaomi. Zhiyun.
Yeah.
Those Zhiyun lights are really good. Those mod ones. Like get a 60 watt or the 100 watt, tiny one.
Yeah.
And do a key light and then a rim light, a hair light. So I would do 2 lights.
Yep.
And like a big old softbox in my shotgun mic and 2 cameras. And that's how I would do my setup.
Pretty straightforward. Not a lot of complexity to that.
Yeah, it's not like over the top. I mean, you can really, really build those sets out with like, and now here's this background light, and here's this background light, and here's this room light, and blah blah blah. And like you can really go to town on lights, which is super super fun.
I feel like, if I had a studio setup that I could leave set up all the time, because that was the other problem I had, was I did shoot in the same spot every time, but I couldn't just leave it set up indefinitely because I still have enough room in my house for that. If you had a space for that, you could just leave set up. You could just build it up over time.
For sure. Doing something like getting a good monitor, because you have to be able to see yourself. And I think that's a hack for studio setups that people maybe don't think about when they're first starting. Is like go buy a cheap monitor,
like a 27-inch, like a computer monitor.
Yeah, like a computer monitor, and they're like freaking plug that thing in for your view. Don't like, oh, I need to get like a free world whatever, like a cheap camera, like a 7-inch camera monitor or a 5-inch camera monitor, whatever, small HD or something. Those are for like if you're holding the camera shooting. for something like a studio setup, just get like a freaking 27 or 24-inch monitor and then just face that at you.
That was something that I regretted not doing because it would have helped a lot with getting framing right and all that.
Yep. Those are super clutch. The teleprompter is actually pretty helpful too.
Yeah,
some people.
I started using that eventually, and I mean that
saves you a lot on cutting time. Like if you're trying to crank videos out, teleprompter, man.
So two things. One, that depends on the type of video you make, because some people are just so off the cuff that it just wouldn't work for them. I know like Gerald famously uses a teleprompter, and that clearly like really works for him, where he likes to script out what he's going to say, and he does it that way. But whether you use one or not, the thing that I most wish I had back then is the text editing that you can do in like Resolve and Premiere now.
Boy,
that would have been so helpful, because the way I used a teleprompter, well, and even not like anything I was doing, I would just do multiple takes, and I'd talk through it, and I'd end up with like 4 or 5 takes of what I did. And then I'd have to go in, and find like where the one I liked was, or like I want half of this one and half of that one. I feel like now with the audio, like the text-based audio editing in Resolve, I'd be able to so quickly just select the one I wanted, click the button, and it'd be in there. It would help so much.
Oh yeah, that save you so much time. So I think that's my thoughts on like if I was doing a studio setup. But if it was actually me, I wouldn't set up a studio, and I would just find different interesting places to film. And so then
when you say that, what I'm visualizing is like the way that like Potato Jet makes his videos, where like he's always on the move, like he's just like taking his name brand or like whatever signature version tripod with him everywhere, and like he just like pops that thing up, uses natural light, and shoots whatever.
I would still be tempted to bring like I would almost want to build my own little tiny setup, like studio style setup, because I would still want to have good lighting and that sort of thing. And if I was going to set up in like someone's house or whatever, I don't necessarily mean I'm just going to be filming in public on a coffee shop. I mean more of like actually set up a scene.
Okay.
I think would be kind of interesting, or even like within my house.
Yeah.
I'm just going to film over here in the kitchen today, and now I'm going to film in the living room, and then blah, 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 and just try different angles and that sort of thing. And so I would try to make that as like mobile as possible. Yeah. And so maybe it's something like one of those Amaran cube lights or whatever they're called, where you have a real small, portable, easy to set up light, fast deployable softbox in case you want to do a light. And then obviously it's like camera, tripod, and lav mic, and that's probably it.
Yeah,
I keep it tight, keep it simple. I mean, I would probably still shoot everything in log, but I may trend towards like editing in Final Cut for a faster cut turnaround. Though I've gotten really, really familiar with Resolve, and I love doing like the grading and the color and all that stuff. But that feels more like big project to me. Whereas if I was trying to do a fast project, I may lean back towards like Final Cut for a YouTube channel.
Do you think you'd be doing a lot of B-roll, or would it mostly be you in front of the camera?
Oh, you just gotta get the tasty B, Daniel.
Gotta get the tasty B.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I say that is because I kind of picture if I did it, like I feel like I've done it one way, with like the studio setup with a nice camera and stuff, and I did that, and then also had B-roll, that I shot with my same camera. I feel like if I wanted to change it up now, maybe I would do all the A-roll like really casual, like either just with my phone, kind of doing different, mobile setups like what you're saying, or I'd maybe even consider like almost more of like a Zoom call type vibe for the A-roll, where like I'm sitting at my computer using a not very good camera, but then I would make the B-roll the part where I would invest all of my creative energy.
Oh, interesting.
So like the A-roll is like largely going to be me talking over other video, or if I'm on the screen, it's, not very good quality. But then, if I'm showing something or whatever, like that's when I'm using like B-roll that I'm shooting with, my mirrorless camera and making that look really good. And I think that's an interesting idea of like, do something that's really visually appealing, but don't make that like the whole video.
So if you had, I don't know, $5,000 and you had to build out a setup, what are you buying with that? Like, what camera are you using? Maybe what lens? And then like, what does this look like?
Yeah, it's hard to like.
I know it's like we didn't necessarily do prep for that.
Yeah, and it's just hard to know. I mean, because it depends on what you have. It depends on what else you do with cameras, like what you're going to do. But I mean, if I had nothing else, and if I was going to do nothing else other than the channel, I feel like I'd want to get out on the camera, like on the camera and lens for, like under $2,000 so that I'd have money for, lights and all that stuff. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like I'd go with, like you said, a cheap Sony, or maybe something like a Fuji XM5.
No, that'd be good.
I think that could be a good option because the camera's not that expensive, and then you can get a couple of those Fuji lenses.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a YouTuber, you got to cut for social now, so you need something that shoots open gate.
That's true.
Need it.
I'd definitely do lights similar to what I actually use. Getting, like you said, getting something like a Godox light or Aperture or something where you don't really need a lot of power. 60 watts would probably be fine for indoor stuff. Softbox. I mean, all that's like, it feels like kind of just like this the easy standard option. Nothing like creative there, I guess. I wouldn't go crazy on a tripod. Like I wouldn't buy the tripod that I use now or something like that. But honestly, if you wanted to do mobile stuff, I was thinking about this for years. Honestly, that potato jet tripod would be like a pretty ideal thing.
Yeah,
something
would.
that you can pop up real quick and all that. I wouldn't go too expensive with any single part of it because I feel like you get a basic setup going and then you just kind of like get in a groove of making things and then invest money in, like what are the rough edges? Like, what can I make better about this? Rather than being like, oh, I need like this $2,000 tripod to get started. So I don't know. I feel $5,000 feels like more than enough.
Oh yeah. I mean, you could get away with less than that for sure. Though you can definitely build a YouTube setup for $1,000 kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I feel like for a camera, I would end up with some sort of wide zoom. I would want to have like the most delicious low depth of field that I could squeeze, but I always like shooting YouTube. Like, oh, let's shoot this shot on at 100 millimeters and put the camera halfway across.
Most people don't have the space to do that.
That's always so much fun. Yeah. I love doing that. I love just getting weird with it.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was just kind of doing up the middle YouTube, I would get an ultra wide zoom. Or maybe even like a cheap prime, like a 20 mil. If I was shooting full frame, get like a 20 or 24 millimeter, probably 20 millimeter prime. That way it could be real cheap. Or get something like a 16 to 35, which would be really expensive. Or there's like 10 to 24s that are, I don't know, $1,000 or something like that.
Yeah. Sure.
And then I would pick probably maybe like a Nikon Z5 II would be a really good option.
Yeah. Yeah, that camera feels like an unusually good value now.
Yeah, an A7 IV, an S5 II, maybe something like one of those.
Yeah, I think that's a good range. You'd be able to grow with that camera, if you wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, I love my Fuji, and I would still say like, man, freaking like an XT4 would be killer. Be really, really good. An XS20, also really, really good. So any of those would probably be stellar. The Fujis would be fun because you could shoot a bunch of film simulations and that sort of thing too. So that'd probably be my camera choice. And then, like you said, it would be, I'd probably get like the 32-bit Rode and, find some Amaran lights and, you're out the door for less than $30,000 at that point.
It sounds like you said $30,000.
$3,000. My $30,000 YouTube budget involves, maybe like a Cine Ursa 12K.
Or a GFX Eterna.
Ooh, I could get a GFX Eterna. It's now a GFX Eterna.
Yeah.
And that's it. No, So I would spend $20,000 on cameras.
Yep.
On camera gear.
And you'd use an incandescent light bulb because of the CRI.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, it would look delicious, Daniel, if I only lit it with incandescent bulbs.
Oh my gosh.
My goodness.
It would fit really well with the Fuji.
I could just do candles. Open flame.
Yes.
Yep. The continuity would be difficult.
Yeah. In your perfect world, you doing a YouTube channel, would you want to film and shoot everything yourself, or would you want to have somebody else, like a camera operator?
If I had an ideal YouTube world, I would have a camera operator. The number of YouTube videos that you've had to like just sit around while I was like shooting takes over and over, I feel real bad for you. But I would want a camera operator. That way I don't have to deal with it.
It sure does save a lot of effort. But I think it's an interesting question because it's like which part of the process is enjoyable for you? Because I feel like for me, if I'm doing a YouTube channel, I want to be the like I like the idea of that being a separate role than the presenter. But like I want to be the camera operator.
Yeah.
Right. But for you, it sounds like you're saying like, I'd like to have somebody do that so I don't have to mess with it.
I would still want to like shoot all of the B-roll footage and do all the things and set up the camera and that sort of stuff. But I feel like whenever you're presenting, having to also have in the back of your mind what's happening with the camera is distracting.
It's really nice when we do our interview videos now. We both go, and so we have one person that's just 100% focused on the interview, and then the other person is monitoring all the gear.
Yep, that works out really well.
So simple. You just need enough. Your channel needs to make enough money that you can pay an assistant.
I'm telling you, dude, YouTube is exhausting.
It really is.
Like, it's the 1% makes it, and even if you make it as 1%, there is not like you made it to the top and now it's easy. It's just like, it just becomes more stressful because then you feel like you're letting people down if you stop grinding.
And it's not even just that you're letting people down. The algorithms punish you if you stop making stuff. And so, well, and the algorithms and the people, like it's not all just like the computer algorithm, but it's also like your fans are going to lose interest if you stop posting.
They're thirsty for all that free content.
And it kind of reminds me of the way I feel about like
prison.
Yes, no, corporations, where like at least in America, it really feels like if a business isn't growing, it's shrinking. Yeah, and it very much feels like that with YouTube.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's definitely built in a certain way that rewards a certain type of behavior. And like, I love watching YouTube, and there I have like YouTubers that I watch, and like I support some of them and all that stuff. And YouTube's great. I mean, I love YouTube, but I think that it can be dangerous and toxic and not like mentally good for people who don't know how to manage work-life balance and time and have like good priorities.
I know the problem that I ran into with it was that I felt like if I'm going to spend all my time making this stuff, you end up chasing the views because it's like, if I'm going to spend all this time making stuff, like I want people to see it.
You want it to do good.
And you end up judging what you do based on that. And you feel like you don't want to take a break because like, well, there's no point in doing this if people aren't going to see it. And so because of that, I don't want to stop and have like the views drop because then like this is going to feel less worth it to me, which is just a really negative and bad cycle.
Yeah. And it's kind of like, you can try to take the approach of like, well, I'm just doing this for me, but it's hard not to see the numbers. Yeah. You just get pulled into it. So
it's interesting. It's like, I feel like with the types of things we talk about, it would be like really obvious for us to do YouTube, and I still feel like if I was like retired or something, I feel like I'd still want to make stuff, just for fun.
Yeah.
For one thing, I think it is really hard to make stuff for fun because of all those things we just said. But it also like, I definitely think it's deceptive and people just see the fun parts of it or think like, oh, I like playing with cameras, so I would enjoy this. And there's a whole lot more to it than that.
And I started thinking about like all the setups and how many hours go into it and that sort of thing. I mean, it's whatever. What's the rule of thumb for? No, that's editing. Never mind.
Yeah, editing is like an hour for every finished minute of video.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
That was about true when I was doing it.
But I guess that's still technically true for YouTube video, right? And YouTube favors longer videos now. And so, I mean, I don't think 20-hour videos are taking, or 20-minute videos are taking 20 hours. But
yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if, like, when MKBHD puts out a 20-minute review, that it's not 30 hours worth of work.
Well, especially if you count that he has a team.
Yeah, exactly.
There's somebody, with his videos, there's somebody spending 8 hours on the thumbnail.
Yeah, jeez, man. Freaking don't even... Thumbnails, dude.
Yep. So, I don't know. I didn't intend for this topic to sound like negative. I mean,
let's smash on YouTube.
I mean, like, we love camera gear, and like YouTube is a great conduit for doing that.
Yep.
And I mean, I just got done saying earlier in this, like, I feel like I learned so much about photography or videography, I guess, doing YouTube, and I feel like that laid the foundation for the work that you and I do now. That's like, I think, really personally fulfilling for us, as well as like profitable.
Yeah.
So I think there's positives to it, but I do think that like people should be aware that, you get into it and it's not just going to be playing with gear all day. And it's a hard thing to do. And, just be careful of those pitfalls that like you can fall in the trap of, attaching your self-worth to, a number on a YouTube video. And that's a bad road to go down.
What if it was playing with gear all day?
I mean, should we is our new YouTube idea.
Oh my gosh, Daniel! What if it's just like a camera that we just post the live feed and we're playing with gear all day?
Yeah, like it's got lo-fi music in the background. Like it would be like one of those primitive technology videos where like you just hear the sounds of the gear.
We're just setting up and tearing down different camera sets and putting together rigs.
Screwing camera rigs together. Yep. Like you just hear like the sound of like the Allen wrenches.
Very ASMR. Yeah, and we'll just live stream it and then post it live.
I think we need to do this.
We solved it. You know what? Done.
That's it for the show today. Thanks for joining us, and if you liked it, tell a friend so they can check it out too. You can find out more about the show at www.cameragearpodcast.com, and you can find us on Twitter @CameraGearPod. We'll be back with more next week.